Hey there, welcome Karen Lanou from No Limits Business Woman. And today we're going to talk about what is the imposter syndrome. Uh, Here's one of the things that you need to know is virtually every woman that I have dealt with and have worked with from the beginning of time, from the beginning of my time as a coach, is that virtually everybody has this come up at one time or another. So this will sound familiar to you if you've ever said, who am I to do this? Or if you have ever asked yourself, because you've been lucky and you've gotten to this place and you've had some successes, and maybe there's a point where you kind of go, oh, but when people really find out about who I am and really how easy this is for me, they're going to find out that I'm a fraud. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. But just so if this is your first time with me and you don't know who I am, my name, as I mentioned, is Karen Lanou from No Limits Businesswoman. And I've been working with women in business for the last 12 years. Specifically, I work with women who are high achievers and want to get to their destination. They want to get to their goals faster, but something's stopping them. They are feeling a little bit blocked. They've tried all these different strategies in terms of their business strategies, but it seems to work for other people, but it's not working for them. And so that's how they get to me. They're wondering, what am I doing wrong? And typically, so that's things like the imposter syndrome and many other things, procrastination, self-sabotage, overwhelm, again, the imposter syndrome. These are all things that actually stop us or slow us down in our tracks. And so I help women get rid of that and actually start to eliminate that so it's not impacting them in the same way anymore. So the imposter syndrome. So like I said, a few moments ago, if this sounds familiar to you, you might be saying, oh, people, when they find out, who I really am, or what, that it's just lucky. I got a lucky break getting here. And I really don't belong here. They're going to find out that I'm not as good as I think I am. That's evidence of the imposter syndrome. Or again, just the overall feeling that I'm not good enough. Or, again, or you might be asking, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take this next step. I'm excited about it, but who am I to do this? And so those are, again, all evidence of the imposter syndrome. And so if those are things that are coming up for you, then you have it. And so what we want to do is actually start to kind of get in and start to shift and change that, because here's a little known thing. Well, even before I get there, because what happens is for so many women, it just stops them in their tracks, that they actually believe that maybe they're not as good as they think they are, or maybe they actually don't have any business whatsoever in going after their dreams or going after their goals and providing the service or the products that they want to the people that they most want to work with. And nothing could be further from the truth. They're telling themselves a lie. That is a lie. So how do I know that? How do I know that's a lie when I've never met you before? Well, just by the very fact that you have had that thought that you're an imposter, or that you're a fake, or you're a fraud, or you're not good enough, really just means that you probably are, because you're being oversensitive. You've somewhere along the line, you've been programmed to tell yourself these stories. And that's, and this comes down generationally through our parents. They share it with us, not meaning to, but where they may have said, well, who do you think you are that you can do that? Or, you're too big for your britches. Those kinds of the messages that we've heard before. And so what we want to do again is start to move out of that, because it's not true. And again, as I mentioned, I know if you're feeling this, that it isn't true for you, because people who actually are really frauds, are really fakes, are really not good enough to be doing whatever they're setting themselves out to do, they don't even think about it. They just don't even think about it. It's just not even in their mind. And or they do it purposefully. Okay? And they do it purposely because they are intending to con. They're intending to be, they're intending to actually just pull the wool over your eyes. So when you're not doing that, my guess, and again, I've seen this with all the women that I've worked with in the past is that there's varying levels of it, but if you're feeling like you're a fraud, you're not good enough, who am I to be doing this, then chances are you're actually way more than good enough to be doing it. So then how do you step back? Because what the consequence of not doing anything about this is that you actually don't take steps towards the thing that you really want to do. You're actually not moving your business. You're not taking the steps up, the leaps and bounds that you really should be. Probably what you've done up to this point that you think is actually going to make the difference is that you maybe went out and got another certification, another degree. You've taken another program. You've learned, if you're a business owner, you've learned all about marketing. You've learned about Facebook ads. You've learned about doing lives. You've learned about how to do social media, how to send out emails, and how to do a launch perhaps. But it still doesn't work. And if you are if you're working for somebody, maybe again, you've done all this professional development and it's just not, you're not getting, you keep applying for the different jobs and you just think, okay, it's just, maybe I just need to pay my dues. And again, typically what I've found is that that's not necessarily the case. There are really some energetic blocks that are stopping you. There are stories that you have that are stopping you. And there's, again, they've been passed down through generations, and or you may have just come up against this. It may be that this, wow, now suddenly this is a new thing in my life and I've never had this problem before. Maybe you started hearing messages from people, or you had a variety of different experiences where people didn't live up to their word, and now you feel like that's about you, and there's something wrong with you. I call BS on that. But again, what happens is that we internalize that, and then we start to tell ourselves stories that maybe, again, I'm not good enough. And so therefore we don't take steps forward to take on our goals. We don't ask for more because we start our world starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller. We start to not, because it's like, okay, well, I'm just happy to get anything, any little bits and pieces. And so then again, we're asking for less and less. And again, if that sounds like you, that's the imposter syndrome, and you need to, and you can get out of that. What we want to do with this is start to identify these stories, start to identify, where did you learn this? Where did you hear this first? And start to eliminate that. There's a clearing process that I use that actually does this and really gets down through the subconscious mind, because here's the thing, what happens is when this stuff happens over and over and over to us, it gets into us at a subconscious level that sometimes we're not even aware that we have these feelings, or aware that we are feeling, we're not feeling good enough, but we're not aware of where this comes from. We actually just believe that it's true. And maybe the goal that we've had is too lofty, and it's not for us. And again, who do we think we are to do this? So the clearing process, and I'll do a quick clearing right now, is to actually start to, it gets in at a subconscious level and starts to clear out and starts to shift those beliefs. So the clearing process really quickly is, and I'll walk you through it, but what I do is I teach this so people can do this for themselves on an ongoing basis. So I'll do this really generically. So this is really the format it takes, where there's a setup phrase, and then there's the clearing process. And then what we do is we want to make sure that we just pay attention to what comes up for us, and then continue to clear. And you can do this for yourself. And hey, Colleen, glad to have you with me here. So the clearing process. So the setup phrase in this case might be, everywhere you've bought the lie that you're not good enough, are you willing to eliminate that? Yes. Destroy, transform, and release. That's a clearing statement. So again, I'll do that again, and then just pay attention to what comes up for you. So again, everywhere you've bought the lie that you are not good enough to do the thing that you want to do, are you willing to eliminate that? Yes. Destroy, transform, and release. Now pay attention to what's coming up, and you, like, for some of you, nothing will happen for you. But what will happen is that all of a sudden you don't feel that feeling anymore, that you're not good enough, and you actually can now start taking steps towards what you want. For some people, you'll feel something in your body. Maybe it feels like a release, maybe you feel lightheaded, or maybe it feels like there's a pain that's kind of got stuck somewhere. Then just keep clearing, just keep saying everything this is, am I willing to eliminate it? Yes, destroy, transform, and release. For some of you, a thought or an image will come to mind, and that's good too. What you want to do is, again, unless it's a really happy, freeing image or a thought, then what you want to do is clear on that thought. So everything this is, everything this thought is, am I willing to eliminate that? Yes, destroy, transform, and release. So really, in a quick nutshell, that's what the clearing process is. It's just one of the tools. There's a process I use. It's called the QC3 method. It's a series of 6 tools that in any moment helps you to get unstuck. Because really, that's what happens, is that we get stuck. That's what, when the women that I work with come to work with me, it is just they're feeling stuck. They're not getting where they want to go as fast as they want. So the clearing process is one of those tools. It's extraordinarily powerful. When I started using this with my clients, their results started just going through the roof. Hey, Salima, glad to have you here with me. And so the results just started going through the roof. And so this is what you want to do. You want to get in and find that energy, find those beliefs, and start to shift it. When you do this, I have seen people all of a sudden make hundreds of or thousands of dollars really in the next couple of days after we've done this together. I've seen my clients get raises, bonuses, because they've shifted and cleared up the beliefs that are stopping them from getting the jobs and the promotions or the bonuses that they want. Thanks, Salima. Salima says Karen's clearing process is the diggity bomb. And so, and you would know. So it's, so again, it is really these things, when you start to do this, business starts to improve, clients start to show up out of nowhere, money starts to show up. All of a sudden, I've seen people get checks. All of a sudden, houses that they wanted to buy start to, houses they wanted to buy that did seem impossible to buy, they were able to do. The houses they wanted to sell suddenly are able to sell. Colleen's asking, what if it's something that you're not aware of? And that's a great thing. That's a really great question, Colleen. Absolutely. For most of us, we don't really know what it is. So you can start with a generic clearing, but that's, and where you just say, okay, everything that's stopping me, everything that's keeping me stuck, am I willing to eliminate that? And then destroy, transform, and release, and then see what comes up. This is why people come to work with me, is because what I'm able to do, I've got this knack to be able to actually get in and find out what that belief is. Because that's the thing, we can't see what is so normal to us. And I've seen this over and over again for the people that I've worked with, is that their belief is just the way it is. It's just normal. So they would never think that there is anything that actually could be stopping them, or this belief, it just is so ingrained in them. So again, that's one of the things that I do that helps move people. That's why people take quantum leaps in their business and or their jobs. The minimum period I ever work with anybody is about 3 months, and in that time frame, everything changes really, really quickly. Thanks, Colleen. You would know too. So again, what you want to do is you want to find a way to find out what those stories are, what those beliefs are, and start to eliminate them, start to get rid of them. So again, because the imposter syndrome, if you're not feeling good enough, you're not feeling, you're feeling like you're a fake or a fraud, and people are gonna, when they find out about who you really are, and that you're a fraud, it's not true. It's absolutely not true. And so what we want to do is make sure that we shift and change this for you. So that, in a nutshell, is the imposter syndrome. Again, it's just you're not feeling good enough, and it comes from a story. It comes from either it's been passed down through to you generationally, or it has come through a variety of different experiences that you've had most recently, and it's specific. It's more common in women than in men. In fact, when I told my husband Jeff about this, he didn't even know, he'd never heard of the about imposter syndrome before, but and he just was kind of dumbfounded. It's like, well, why would people feel this way? And it's like, so this is more of a woman issue than men, although men do suffer from this as well, or they may call it something different, but they just don't. They're just not thinking in those terms of being an imposter. So and typically also what tends to happen for some people is that it's like they start to blame everything else and all around them. It's like, okay, well, this didn't happen because this external event happened. But more often than not, and then they start to try to fix it externally by, again, taking courses, getting degrees. Not that there's anything wrong with those things. It's just that if you've done all these things and it's still not working, then you need to shift what's going on in here. So I'll leave that with you. Excuse me. Next week, I don't have my schedule up for next week, but I'm going to be here at the same time, same place, and I hope you'll join me. And if you really want to change this, and this is time, it's time for you to actually get back and shift this and start to look at a different way of solving this particular problem so you can actually get to the goals that you want. Again, I'll pat myself on the back on this. I'm pretty good at actually really getting people to take quantum leaps towards their goals way quicker than ever. So if you're interested, just message me and let's have a chat. Just a quick 15-minute chat to see if we're a match to work with. Or you can go to nolimitsbusinesswoman.com/talk and set up a time for us to talk. I would be so happy to chat with you about this. Again, just a quick 15 minutes. Let's find out, where you're at and whether or not I can help you. Have a fabulous day, and are you ready to live a no limits life? All right, take care.